Welcome to Seen Heard, where people in Cornwall who have experienced homelessness share their stories. Through workshops leading to a live show in Truro, we've discovered brilliant creative talents, tapped into universal wisdom and heard difficult life stories, as well as forging new friendships and having a lot of fun.
Please note this episode contains references to trauma and mental health problems.
This is Jodie's story.
I describe myself as a creative person. I love photography and doing little bits of arts and crafts, even though I'm not fantastic at it. I like gaming, I like creative writing. I love animals. Animals are really important to me. Travelling, love exploring different places and experiencing different cultures. Passionate, yeah. I'm also really into my true crime as well, so weirdly enough, sometimes it helps me sleep at night, which is strange, but hey ho.
I'm going to look at you in a minute, Jodie.
We are born into a complex system of neurons, muscles and bones, flesh and hair and organs. This human-shaped puppet is also our home. It's with us from the moment we are born to the moment that we die. We can decorate it with tattoos, piercings, hair dye, clothes, and accessories. We can alter the way it looks on the outside with fluctuating weight and surgery. We can lie in the sun to tan. Yet this home can also be a prison, particularly if something or someone makes you hate it. Ribs become bars, a cage. The sense of it falling apart creates a fantasy of control. Nobody can destroy this home but you. Home can also be in the arms of a loved one, however temporary it may be. It can be found in music, writing, art, fleeting blinks in time that wraps you in warmth and a sense of belonging, of being seen and understood. Home isn't just a house, it's little moments that make you feel glad to be alive. To me, home isn't just a place that has four walls and a painted door. It isn't the body I was born into and will live with until the day that I die. Home is a multicoloured snapshot of experiences, people, collections. It's the comforting hug when feeling sad, or the joint laughter over a funny memory. It's the deep conversations over steaming coffee and the feeling of the sun on my face. It's enjoying my solitude with my favourite music and a good book. It's hearing the words, "I love you," from my godchildren. Home is when my animals show me affection and excitement, their vulnerability and their playfulness. I'd like a house to make into a home filled with these memories and comfort.
Amazing. It really was amazing.
I was actually forgetting what I was doing and listening.
My paternal grandparents raised me from the age of 6. In secondary school, there was quite a lot of curiosity, but not like the nice kind. It was kind of like something that they could use against me to bully me with, like, "Oh, you don't have your mum and dad, they don't love you," sort of thing. And I just remember always feeling isolated and lonely as well, because I didn't know anybody else who had been raised by their grandparents. Those feelings were even more strong when it came to doing like Mother's Day cards or Father's Day cards at school. I'd always have to alter my cards to be for them instead, and then dealing with, "Oh, why are you doing it to them? Why can't you do it to your parents?" And it was just a bit like, I just always felt very different from the rest of my classmates. And I wish I knew somebody who also grew up maybe not with just their mum or just their dad, so I wouldn't feel so lonely.
In a world overrun with wolves, it was crucial to be wary. The saying, "a wolf in sheep's clothing," was born for a reason. If you knew what to look for, there were some telltale signs when a friend, neighbour or stranger was actually a wolf. Red's grandmother taught her the following. Look out for long, sharp teeth that gleam like daggers catching sunlight. Watch out for eyes that scream prey, neon lights that pinpoint weaknesses. Study hands that gripped a shade too hard, with nails that could break skin without a second thought. She was a wolf hunter, and Red trusted her grandmother.
I'm not
beyond all
sure
else.
why I settled on fairy tales. I guess it was mostly because there's so much potential there, but yet most people just know the Disney versions, or even some part from Hans Christian Andersen or the Grimm's brothers. But I wanted to go back further than that. Yeah, I've been world building for maybe 6 or 7 years now, my own fairy tale world, my own universe really, with its own lore and religions, citizens, different races as well, different forms of magic. Like, for example, with my Beauty and the Beast retelling, I've got it so that the Beast was actually the first ever created werewolf, cursed by a minor deity for scorning her son. So, well, you don't want my son, you think you can go with someone else, I'm going to make you so ugly nobody else is ever going to want you. And the son, in his heartbreak, he was the first to accidentally create vampires, and that's why vampires and werewolves have this feud. But the dangers weren't limited to the wolf hunter, and in retaliation, a pack slaughtered Red's mother and left the then 6-year-old girl with jagged scars and a deep-seated sense of rage. As Red grew, so did her hate. And another one that I've been working on as well is Snow White. So Snow White is actually going to be what is known as a Yuki Onna in Japanese folklore, which is Snow Woman. And the 7 dwarves are going to be her thralls, and they would guide people who would get lost on a mountain that the Yuki Onna created like a snowstorm and get them lost in, and the dwarves, aka the thralls, are going to then direct these people to quote-unquote safety, and the Yuki Onna would then have her way with them and take their life stream almost to keep herself looking young and youthful. And another really interesting one that I researched was the very origin of Sleeping Beauty, and it was how Sleeping Beauty was punished by, I believe it was Odin, for disobeying him. So he put this person into an enchanted sleep, and the only way that she'd be able to wake up is if somebody completed all these different trials, but these trials were designed to fail. And I just thought it was really interesting, so I wanted to do my own twist and include more LGBTQ+I elements as well, because I'm part of that community. It was a sunny day when Red made her familiar journey home, where her grandmother would be waiting with a cake and a proud smile. The front door was open, the oven was cooling. From upstairs, the sound of movement. Grandmother? A stumble, a rough cough, and a raspy reply. In the bedroom, Red frowned, a hand falling to her dagger, her heart rate spiking. Her mind screamed danger. I've had issues with my mental health pretty much from the get-go. I was always an incredibly anxious child, and when I first moved in with my grandparents, we didn't know it at the time, but I was suffering from flashbacks and nightmares. Again, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tearfulness because of all the trauma that I'd been through at such a early age. But it wasn't until I was in university that I was diagnosed with dyslexia, because although I can read and write fine, it's the other aspects such as understanding and comprehension, memory recall. And it was also when I was in university, the idea of me being on the autistic spectrum was also thrown out. And I didn't want to believe it at first. I already had like a cocktail of mental health diagnosis, and I didn't want to add another one to the list. So I was in denial for quite a long time. And then it came to the point where I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should see about if I actually do have ASD or something akin to that. And I was told the waiting list was about 2 years or so, but then
But then COVID hit and I had to relocate.
I want to be free.
So it's taken a long time for me to kind of gather that courage and strength to get myself re-referred. And I'm waiting on that now. I'm still waiting for specialist therapy from the mental health team, because I have a lifelong history of trauma. I've been told I'm quite good at managing it, but I am surviving rather than thriving, and they want to help me break free from that so I can actually properly, truly live my life.
Can you hear how powerful something tiny is as well?
Unfortunately, when I got to preteen years, my granddad developed cancer, and it was clear that it had progressed really far, and he died shortly after New Year, and my nan fell into alcoholism, and we didn't really celebrate Christmas after Grandad died. It just didn't feel right, and I didn't really celebrate it, quote unquote, again until I met my first boyfriend. I was with him for about 13 years, and I'd spend Christmas with his family. It felt amazing to have that sense of belonging and love that I hadn't really experienced since I was a child. But things with the ex, they soured, and it took a long time for me to realise that I needed to get out of that relationship. And when I finally did, I called up my best friend, and I was in absolute tears because it was about a month before Christmas, and I just left him, and I couldn't stay where I was because it wasn't safe for me, and I had no idea where I was going to go, what I was going to do. She immediately said, well, you're going to come and stay with us. And I was like, what? No, that's too short notice. Are you sure? And then I had a picture sent to me a few days later of my best friend's daughter, who was 4 at the time, my little goddaughter, holding up a Christmas stocking that had the initial J on it after my name, and a message saying, I can't wait for Auntie Dodo to spend Christmas with us. And so a few weeks later, when I was picked up, it was just amazing to have lost one family, so to speak, but to realise I had this other family, my best friend and her family and her children, just there all along, we've been wanting you to celebrate with us for years, Jodie, and now you finally can. And of course my 4-year-old goddaughter was incredibly excited, and she woke me up really early going, Auntie Dodo, it's Christmas, Santa's been, look at all the presents. And it was different to adapt to how they celebrated Christmas rather than how my ex and his family celebrated Christmas. Later on, when we had Christmas dinner with all of my best friend's family, it was noisy, it was chaotic, it was truly, truly amazing. And even now, it's just expected that I'm going to be there and be a part of their family with the matching pyjamas and Christmas breakfast and lunch and dinner and all the insanity that brings. Yeah, it really touches me and makes me feel seen and loved.
As long as we're looking at the world through the lens of love, we can't be wrong.
What attracted me to the Seen Heard project was I had just finished performing in a pantomime, and I was kind of feeling at a bit of a loss of what I was now going to do with all my free time. And I saw an advertisement for the Seen Heard project, and it sounded so interesting, not just as a performer, but as a creative person in general. So doing set work and set design and music and writing, just all these different elements of creativity which I haven't properly explored before. minus the writing. And I just thought it would be a really interesting, fun thing to do. And it has inspired me to work a lot more on some of my original pieces.
Hedgehog. Some people see themselves as an animal, for whatever reason. Some people see themselves free like a bird, or as cautious as a cat, sly as a fox, or as protective as a bear. I always saw myself as a hedgehog. People have described me as spiky. I react to real and imagined danger with a hypervigilance, which causes me to become defensive. My spikes, splayed in order to protect myself. Please handle me carefully and gently, please don't hurt me. The spikes have been useful in the past. They've protected me, they've kept me safe. But the spikes have also kept people away. They isolate me from connections and experiences. It's not like I have major control over my defence mechanism, but it's something that I'm learning to manage, to become less reactive and less anxious, so the armour of spikes can soften, and I can become open to the joys and sorrows that the world can bring without being so guarded.
What would you instinctively, without worrying too much about it, say that it was?
For me, family.
Family.
Mm-hmm. Or connection, I should say, connection. And it's been good to get to know different people and parts of their life that they share throughout this entire process.
I just want to say, for me, those two things really resonate with me. So I'm really curious. I was really fascinated with those are the things you said.
The oldest objects that I own are a pair of wedding rings. And I've got them, they're just simple gold bands, 2 different sizes, and they're on a golden chain. And I have these because my grandparents were the ones to raise me. And sadly, my grandfather passed away when I was 11. And my nan actually, instead of keeping his wedding ring for herself, she told me that she wants me to look after it. And then after my nan passed away when I was 23, the family said that I should have my nan's ring as well. So I keep them both together, safe on this golden chain, and I wear them close to my heart, particularly on the anniversaries of their death. Yeah, these rings are very, very important and precious to me. My precious. My most sentimental and important tattoo for me is my butterfly tattoo. And the reason why I got that was because after my granddad died, my nan told me that during his funeral, a butterfly came into the church and landed on his casket. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's lovely. Granddad's in heaven, so to speak. And then after my nan passed away, I was feeling really lost in my life, just stuck in my own head. And I was taking a walk one day, not paying attention to anything around me, when all of a sudden there were 2 butterflies dancing right in front of me. And I felt like it was a message from them both saying, we're together again now, Jodie, and you know, we're always going to be here for you as well, even though we're not physically there. And after my gran and my mum and my dad had all passed away, I just thought to myself, I want something permanent so that I feel like they're always with me. So I went to a tattoo artist and I said, I'm thinking of a memorial butterfly with their initials interwoven into it somehow. Can you help me come up with a design? And he did. So I've got the tattoo on my right ankle with the initials of my mum, dad, nan, gran and granddad within it. And yeah, it's an incredibly important tattoo to me, just like all of my others.
What would you like your life to be like in 5 years' time? I'd like to be at home within myself, in a place where I'm safe with my thoughts and memories.
I'd like to be surrounded by animals, my space crowded with memorabilia from travels around the world, along with a wall full of my holiday photography. I'd like to be a published author too, brimming with creativity and motivation, with the knowledge that my words help people feel seen, heard and safe. Seen Heard is a part of the Hello Stranger programme created by Wildworks, supported by the Good Growth Fund in partnership with St Patrock's, which is working to end homelessness in Cornwall.
This project has been led by Sarah Levinsky and Vicky Abbot, and the audio has been produced by me, Karen Pirie. Music is by Rhys Jones, Vicky Abbot, Benji Bauer and Adrian Freeman. For more information about this project, go to the Seen Heard page at wildworks.org.uk.